Today's lesson is titled The Power of Words, the Art of Invoking Emotions Through Words. As we go through this lesson, practicing essential skills to become great analytical readers, there are some items you will need. First, download a copy of the graphic organizer. At the end of this lesson, you will finish the graphic organizer on your own. Follow your teacher's instruction as to how to submit your work. It is not necessary to download a copy of the text that we will be reading because they will appear on your screen. However, if you like, you may download a copy, and if you have a printer, you can print a copy to annotate as you follow along. If you choose to print a copy, please have a highlighter, pen, or pencil to annotate. Lastly, I will need your undivided attention and participation. I'll give you a few minutes to gather everything you need and settle in. Okay, let's begin. The focus standard requires a few tasks. Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in a text, including figurative language and connotative meanings. Analyze the cumulative impact of specific word choice on meaning and tone. Take a look at the right side of your screen where it reads Focus Skill. By the end of the lesson, you will have learned how to analyze text for word choice and how word choice impacts meaning of text. You will also learn how to determine the tone based on the specific word choice. Before we begin reading stories and analyzing author's word choice, there are some terms and skills that are already familiar, which you will need to help you today. Let's take a look at what's on the list. Figurative language. Figurative language is a word or a phrase that does not have its normal everyday literal meaning. It is used by the writer for the sake of comparison or dramatic effect. Identifying the use and meaning of figurative language is key to understanding why the author chose to use it. Next on the list is context clues. In reading, a context clue is a form of information, such as a definition, synonym, antonym, or example, that appears near a word or phrase and offers direct or indirect suggestions about its meaning. Next on the list is theme. Theme is an underlying message or the big idea of a story. This message could tell more about human nature or life in general. Identifying and connecting with the author's word choice will help determine the theme or message of the story. Lastly, mood and tone. The mood is a feeling or vibe readers get when reading due to author's descriptive words. The tone is the author's attitude towards the topic. We can identify both by looking at the setting, characters, details, and the key word that we will be focusing on today is word choices. So, reaching for excellence, you will need to understand how does word choice affect tone and meaning, be in tune or aware of the emotions the words invoke in you. We call this connotation, the emotions attached to the word. Connotation is what is thought of when hearing the word, what feelings come along with it. So why is it important to understand word choice and its impact on meaning and tone? It is important because it helps you determine the mood, tone, and theme of the story. Denotation and connotation go together when learning about author's word choice. The way to remember the meaning of denotation is both denotation and dictionary begin with the letter D. Denotation or denotative is the literal or dictionary meaning of the word. Connotation, which is a term we will be using throughout this lesson, a meaning that is suggested or implied. It is never meant to be taken literal. Connotation is emotions attached to the word. Connotation is what is thought of when hearing the word? What feelings come along with it? Just remember, authors purposely choose certain words that has a negative or positive connotation to evoke a reaction from readers such as you and me. Let's put to practice what we learned reading an excerpt from a story. Watch where you step because there are certain kinds of snakes that are very good by nature with camouflaging and will strike when they feel threatened. The word we will focus on in the first sentence is snake. Snake in this sentence is a denotative word, or used the way the dictionary defines the word. I know this because clues such as watch where you step, nature, camouflaging, and will strike when felt threatened. I know that the author is referring to a wild animal. I'll highlight these words and phrases to also model for you what good annotation looks like. We know that they are good by nature, uh, they camouflage, and will strike when they feel threatened. And if we looked up the word snake, it will definitely give us a definition that kind of connects with all of these words that I have highlighted. All right, so let's move on and read the excerpt underneath. David recently got promoted as team leader, and my initial reaction was pure shock because he is a snake in disguise. Many of us have witnessed numerous times David taking all the credit on group projects when he barely brings any ideas to the table or do any physical work. Right away, I thought to myself, unbelievable about David's action. His actions are clues to lead me to believe that the author's choice of word to describe David is a negative connotation. Also, I use my background knowledge to help me even more determine that snake connotates a deceitful, cheating person. Negative connotation. By the author choosing to have the narrator, David's co-worker, use such a word, I can determine that the narrator's tone is anger. The message here is possibly be careful who you work with. And this message is clearly conveyed through the negative connotation of the word snake. So once again, his actions says it all, okay? So here, as you can see, it says many of us has witnessed numerous times David taking all the credit, and I just want to highlight that. David taking all the credit on group projects when he barely brings any ideas to the table or do any physical work. So that just sounds like someone that is very deceitful, and she describes him as a snake. So I just want to stop here and just emphasize the word snake. It has a positive connotation or it can have a negative connotation. In this case, with this short excerpt here, we can see that snake has a negative connotation. In the text above here, snake is used in its denotative meaning. In other words, it is literal. It is the dictionary's definition of what a snake is. Let's move on and put this on a graphic organizer. Let's place the answers in the graphic organizer. So we know the author's word choice from the excerpt we read is snake. Is snake used as a negative or a positive connotation? We know that snake is a negative connotation because David got a promotion as a team leader because he portrays himself as a hardworking person when he really is not a team player at all and does not work at all. The speaker or narrator in the excerpt states that her initial reaction to David's promotion was pure shock. And I sense a tone of anger. And what supports my answer is David got the promotion by lying, and the people who thought he deserved the promotion have no idea that David is nothing like he portrays himself to be. And the connotative word snake helped to determine that she is angry because she refers to him as a snake. And finally, the last column, what does this mean, or what is the overall meaning, is that anyone working to complete a task as a team should be careful that you don't work with someone like David, who has all the characteristics of a snake, but in a human form. The author communicates deceitfulness using the connotative meaning of snake. This is a two-part lesson. You have come to the end of part one. Please begin part two.